evening, friends, and welcome to a Saturday evening. And as we speak, Pakistan seems to be under heavy distress, and it looks like the whole, Pakistan. There's a whole lot of confusion, and here we have with us once again Desh Kapoor ji here to discuss everything about this and much, much more. Welcome, Desh.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jaydev. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah. So coming to the first point, Deshi, and you had the Afghanistan, Foreign Minister Amir Khan Butaki coming to India, meeting Jaishankar, and after this meeting, the Pakistani Air Force carried out an aerial strike near the Shahid Abdul Haq Square to kill TTP chief Noor Wali Mehsood. But according to certain reports, Mehsood is still alive, and so this is quite hilarious that they keep missing the targets, whether it is Operation Sindoor or now in Kabul.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jaydev. Thanks for inviting me again. Yeah, this is a very interesting situation, right? See, Pakistan, for all they have tried to do, they have, tried to create a fake narrative and try to say how great they were in the Operation Sindhu. Now, even I think it was a UK ambassador who laid out very clearly how many planes within Pakistan have been destroyed, and the air bases that were destroyed, and everybody knew it. And even Trump was heard saying that 8 planes in Pakistan were destroyed. So for all the narratives that they have tried to create against India for Operation Sindhu, they have found that really nothing really stuck. And worst thing is that now the Indian Air Force is being called by the UK to actually train the Royal Air Force within that country. And obviously in Pakistani's eyes, their own much glorified Pakistan Air Force has not been called to do that. And the reason is because they really have nothing much to show. So when you really see all these things, you realize that there's a whole lot of fluff in the Pakistani actual military things, right? Now, here is a guy, the Sasim Munir that you are showing, who became a field marshal after they lost everything. They've lost the air bases, they've lost so many planes. And after that, he becomes the field marshal. This is probably one of the most hilarious kind of situation in any military annals. But that is how it is. That is how the country is. And they have been attacking, Afghanistan for quite a long time. So in 2022 April, they had done airstrikes in Afghanistan as well. At that time, they had killed a lot of civilians. And these skirmishes or battles have been going on since then. Whether it was in Torkham, whether it is, Waziristan, Swat, Paktika, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, other areas. Recently there was a big firefight actually between Pakistani forces and the TTP. That's what they are saying in Orakzai. In Orakzai in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, 11 Pakistani soldiers were killed, including a lieutenant colonel and a major. So, and sometime back, there was a 2-star general who was killed. So these things have been going on for quite some time because, when you look at March 2023, there was a Brigadier Mustafa Barki who was killed, who was a 2-star, officer. So these things, that means even their senior officers have been involved in all these, strikes against TTP, whom they call as the, terrorists. while there is really hardly any difference between TTP and the real Taliban. So and the, this thing has been like clarified time and time again, like by different episodes and events. So basically speaking, I think Taliban has become sick and tired of the patronizing attitude that Pakistan has. Over time, that's what they have been trying to do. They have used Taliban for their own gain, and like when let me go into a little bit of history, like if you are okay with it.
Yes.
So in 1990s, like I think it was starting of 1990. At that time, Kabul was actually ruled by the coalition where Ahmad Shah Massoud was actually the main like leader. I think he was the defense minister, and I don't remember. I think it was Rabbani who was the president at that time, and they were using Hikmatyar. Pakistan was using Hikmatyar to actually target Ahmad Shah Massoud and the Northern Alliance forces. They weren't able to make any headway. So Taliban was actually created as an alternative to Hikmatyar, a little more radicalized force. So when Taliban was, when all the militants from different madrasas were brought together, and that Taliban force was actually sent. They were the ones who kept pounding Kabul for many months, and ultimately Ahmad Shah Massoud and his friends and his the commanders actually receded, and the reason was they could not bear that such a pounding of Kabul. So thing is, Pakistan has used Taliban as mercenaries on hire, and that was okay earlier on. But after the US left, they came on their they came into their own. People would remember that famous or infamous visit of the ISI chief there to Kabul, and he was having a like cup of tea, and the way, the arrogance and the swagger with which he was having, as if he owned the world, was remarkable. And I think everybody, even within Taliban, like they were very impressed with that. Sorry.
Yeah. 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 I think there's some technical issues.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, like what happened was that these like forces, the Taliban, they realized that like actually India is a much closer friend than Pakistan is, at least much more fairer to Afghans than Pakistan is. So since a long time now, India has tried to make inroads and try to like create relationship with Taliban, and it has succeeded quite a bit because Taliban realizes that if they have to keep peace, well, after all, they're also Afghans. At some point, they realize that they have a certain idea of their own religion and their own ideology. That is how they want Afghanistan to be, but they also realize that they want Afghanistan to be peaceful. So that's what they are doing, and they have over time understood the value of diplomacy and statecraft, and so that's what they are trying to use. So now this meeting between Dr. Jaishankar and uh, and the foreign minister, like, is actually very interesting because like it has come after they had visited actually Moscow. So it wasn't like out of the blue that it came about, right? Like they actually went to Moscow first, and that's when they like came to India, and there was a like big like discussion that happened there. So like in that context, I think it's like pretty interesting that there the main agenda for that meeting was that like they do not want Bagram Air Base to be actually used for any foreign powers, which is very, very interesting. And the reason why it is interesting is because uh, you know uh, Trump has actually asked, made a very flippant statement again, but like it has asked actually to bring the Bagram Air Base back to the Americans, and they don't like it, and like for good reason, right? So what that means is that what the US would have done is use Bagram Air Base to actually strengthen Pakistanis. Now, Pakistanis did not have a whole lot of um say in stopping that. Now, Taliban may also not want Chinese to be actually involved with that, right? So India has an opportunity here, a window here, to actually make sure that Chabahar, which is in Iran, has connectivity to Afghanistan, and that security of Chabahar is taken care of, because if the US is not there in Bagram, then securing Chabahar, like in Iran, becomes more easier. Like it becomes easier then, and like otherwise, like that would have been one of the targets for the US. So India secures, and the reason for Chabahar, like the importance of Chabahar is, Chabahar actually is the starting point for the INSTC, that north-south trade corridor that India has built with Russia. It goes all the way from Iran. It continues through to Azerbaijan and goes all the way to Russia. Now that provides Russia access to the Arabian Sea, and India also access to Siberia through that. And that is why Chabahar became so important for everyone. And like US would have actually targeted Chabahar if they had been stationed in Bagram. So that is where the importance of Chabahar port comes in, and why Afghanistan deal or at least relationship with India is that much more important. And Pakistan is actually I hate to say this, but like, Pakistan really does not have any national character anymore, at least its own establishment. They are out to sell the country. People, like, you see videos of people who in Pakistan who do not even have the basic wheat to like make food. The situation there is extremely bad. Last time we talked how companies are pulling out of Pakistan and things like that. And all they are doing is just selling off their country in any possible way they can, and they are living off like masters and lords and kings. So in that kind of situation, even Afghanistan cannot trust Pakistan at all. So that is where India's entry becomes so very important. And if at some point or when India actually takes over the POK, at that time it will be very important for like India to have some kind of relationship with Afghanistan.
Yeah, so from what it seems like that, Pakistan, Asim Munir and Shehbaz Sharif, they seem to be committed to Donald Trump because they, showed a briefcase of rare earth minerals, and it seems like they're selling their assets. Trump signed a crypto deal with Pakistan, and now Trump might say that you deploy Pakistani troops to Bagram or something like that. So you see a lot of these things happening.
Yeah, so I think for some reason, and like I can understand what that reason may be, Pakistan has kind of wanted to hitch itself to America rather than China. And for the generals and the rest of the folks who are the officers within Pakistan, it makes sense because their families are in US. Over time, they have settled here. They've they cannot settle in China. They can definitely settle in the US. Their kids can get better better education, like go to swanky universities. Asim Munir's wife has gotten the uh, citizenship here. So all those things are possible for them. So that is why they have hitched their entire thing to US. Unfortunately for them, at this point, US, the way its leadership is not poised to actually play a constructive role. I think it is playing a very a flippant role, like within the geopolitics of this region, the Indian subcontinent region, and overall. So, so different countries and different groups are catching up on them. Recently, even in European Union, people are saying that the analysts are saying very clearly that they they realize the merit in how Modi ji and the Indian government have actually handled the entire Trump's situation. By being quiet, by being very restrained, and things like that. So they are learning from that. So I think so in that sense, like US, Trump is making US even more and more irrelevant every day to the rest of the geopolitics. And the only way he is actually interacting with the other countries is by bringing out the stick. That doesn't always work because like recently, if you see, I mean, the American debt is 37 or 38 trillion dollars. Now, every day, the countries are actually selling off the treasury bills. Like what that means is that treasury bills, will lose, or the dollar will actually lose its value over time, like in very short time. If this is a way, in fact, now they are saying even UK is selling the treasury bills. So the treasury bonds. So if that is how it goes, then things will become very hard, because the only way you can boost up that like all these treasury bonds is by increasing the interest rate. Increasing the interest rate means increasing the debt payment, or interest payments, which is again a problem. And second, it becomes a problem internally because it increases the inflation. Inflation is already extremely high. It is around, in US, it is somewhere around 30 to 40%. Every month you see the prices increase like crazy. So things are not hunky-dory here. And the way they are going about is extremely self-destructive. So in that sense, like US is not in a in the right place to actually dictate to the world through a stick. It has to do diplomacy, which the current government at least is not created for. I mean, all the people that it has, whether it was Navarro, whether it was the commerce guy who was threatening every other day, and all these people, they all have a similar kind of mindset. And like you see how that is increasing within the US. They really think they can just beat the heck out of everyone, and they don't need anyone in the world. That is not how world works, especially when you are in this kind of situation. So things will become like clearer. And China is also not feeling that good about Pakistan anymore now, and it is still trying to help Pakistan, because they are the only way forward as far as containing India is concerned, because Pakistan still, even today, has a whole lot of assets, like at least the religious fanatic assets, within India. The whole I Love Muhammad campaign, like if you really see, like that has been orchestrated for a certain reason by a certain group. and by a certain network of people. So, so where did that come from? And like, where does the love jihad come from? Like if you see the grooming gangs in UK, 90% or over 90% actually are actually Pakistani Muslims. And like, is it just a coincidence that even the grooming jihad within India, whether in Kerala or anywhere else, is actually backed by the Pakistani, like madrasas, like Pakistani backed madrasas in India? No, it's not. Like there is a certain, link between all of these things. So all one has to do is think through it. And that is the reason why US will never let Pakistan slide, because they know that the only way they have a control over India is actually Pakistan. So India has countered all that thing to quite a large extent, but India needs to make Pakistan completely irrelevant in terms of any power that it has. But it becomes tough when so many groups within India, so many madrasas within India are still, linked back to Pakistan. So that link has to be completely broken.
Yeah, so Deshji, also the fact that Donald Trump has announced an additional 100% tariff on China and threatened to cancel a summit with Xi Jinping. So his war with the tariff war with China is increasing more with China. So
Yeah, I think like it is like like trying to spit in the air. Like I don't know why he would do that, because like I know like what the reason is, like why this whole thing is going on. Like why he wrote that long message on social media. Uh, because he was really like pissed off with how the Chinese have put a curb on the rare earth metals, and they are not going to offer that anymore of those critical minerals to the West. And that threat is very, very significant, right? Because a lot of those critical minerals actually go into creating the cutting edge military equipment that US offers. You can't build F-35 like if you do not have the rare earth metals. You cannot build so many missiles if you do not have rare earth metals. So America can keep on saying, oh, like we are this, we are that, but if they don't get the rare earth metals, they really cannot actually have any military going forward, and like at least the new development. And like it's not like rare earth metals are extremely rare in the world. They are not. There are many places, many countries like Greenland where they are in abundance, and US has access to all that. The main reason for the rare earth metals situation is that the processing of it needs a certain level of technology and science, and second, it needs scale. US has not invested in that. That has been invested by China. China currently has over 90% share of rare earth metals processing. That is why it is not able to like it has such a commanding lead. In the 1980s, I think, if I remember correctly, Deng Xiaoping had said that rare earth metals will be equivalent to oil in the next century, and it is since then that they have been working on this, like for taking the global lead. So now I think Trump realizes that he is in a fix, and he wants to open, and he says, if China thinks they have such a big monopoly on this and they can hurt us, I have many more areas where we have monopoly and we can hurt them. That is not a good way to go. That will hurt that will hurt the US. And that will hurt the US because that will create further we'll get closer to a global war than we are currently. Things will there are multiple trigger points right now that are developing, where a global war between either China or US, or at least the NATO, um, you know, like Russia and NATO, or at least the EU, definitely. All these things can actually develop very, very fast and will go out of control if there is no adult in the room. Right now, from all the things, as much as Putin is villainized and all those things, I still believe in the current geopolitical situation, Putin is the only one who actually is thinking, at least on a global manner. And China, on the other hand, what they have done is, there was I don't know, if you heard the latest, program from Fareed Zakaria, his analysis about US versus China. What he says is, right now the US government is actually halted, right? Because it's been shut down because of further finances that they have not been released. So on one hand, you have the American government in a shutdown. On the other hand, you have the Chinese government, which is actually looking at a global, suggestions. When Trump went to UN, he actually blabbered around and tried to beat everyone, with that. On the other hand, Xi Jinping's, the China's actually statement was the opposite. They wanted to bring everyone together, into a certain global framework. So the message that was given were two different messages. China, on very, very strangely, was actually trying to become a statesman in the global geopolitical stage. US was acting like an angry kid. So who do you think will take lead in the geopolitics going forward? Currently, it looks like China, no, not the US. And it's not as if China is way far behind. China is way far ahead in terms of technology, science, military, and things like that. So things will become very interesting, very, very dangerous, very, very fast. Because Trump cannot handle such humiliation, and China is hell-bent on humiliating him.
Right. So also on the other hand, you have a UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. He recently visited India, and he said that India is well on the way on becoming the fourth largest economy, and also the fact that UK is also supporting India's UNSC bid. So this is very contrasting to the way Trump is behaving, and UK is the natural ally of US for a very long time.
Yeah, so I have a certain kind of cynicism when it comes to Britain, right? And I am not willing to believe whatever they say on face value. That is how how the events and situations in the past have lent themselves into a certain kind of viewpoint that I have. And currently, when they are coming here, how ironical is it that under 100 years, within 100, within a 70 odd years, a country which actually had completely denuded India, plundered India, which brought India from 25% of world's GDP to mere 3% of world's GDP, today has no other way forward but to actually partner with India for trade, because they can't. And this is like, again, one of those things that we want to come and trade with India. It almost seems like this same kind of delegation which had gone to the Darbar of Jahangir. Like it looks like that. So the thing is, why should India really believe in UK? Because even now, even today, they are backing Khalistan. They are backing Khalistanis. They have not really, given way. And they were very interesting. Like recently, I was watching a podcast, like one podcast with Khalid Hussain. And Khalid Hussain, he's an Arab and an analyst, and he was saying something very interesting. He said he was talking to this Arab analyst or Arab leader, and he said that there will be 3 Islamist countries. One was Doha or Qatar, second was Turkey, and third is UK, London, UK. So the 3 capitals are, London and Istanbul and Doha. So the thing is, UK is being taken over by the Islamists almost completely, and they actually have no future. Many have said, like, very clearly that even JD Vance, I think, made a joke about this, that UK may actually be the first nuclear powered Islamist nation, and that might become a reality. So India needs to think through that whatever they are doing is, one, not a carte blanche, and second, not for very, very long term. Like India can't hitch their wagon to UK in any long term a proposal or agreement that actually binds them. India cannot bind itself to UK in any way. It should not, because that would be because, like, UK has like a Trojan horse of an Islamist nation, and even otherwise, the establishment or the bureaucracy that UK has, or the think tanks, or the mindset that UK has had over time of backing the Islamism, of backing this Khalistani movements, of actually trying to hurt India in so many different ways, because MI6 is still very, very active, like even in India. So they understand India better than any other Western country does, because of the 250 years of rule and all that knowledge being passed on. So the India, like, some people even say that MI6 like today has created moles within the PMO itself. So one needs to be very, very careful about how things work. And like they can do a deal, like they've done the FTA and all those things, fantastic. But don't bind yourself to UK in any way that can hurt India, like in the long term. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. And one last point, Deshji, is that recently, if you have seen Amit Shah's tweet, he said that he's going to register an email address in Zoho Mail. So that's a very big. He's endorsing, an Indian-made company, and it's a very big move, isn't it?
Yeah, it is actually. Like, I don't know, like, if you read his entire message, the last line was a killer. Like, if you remember, thank you for your kind attention. Like, he was
Yes.
like what Trump says. So I think, like, it was done in a certain context, right? And the thing is that Zoho has been working on this for a long time. People only now have come to know about Zoho in India, which is very, very sad, because I got introduced to like Zoho almost 10, 12 years back. And since then, I've been following what they have been doing. And I've used some of their services myself, and I can say they were top notch. All of those things that whatever they have tried to do. In fact, like earlier this year, I was actually in San Francisco, and when I was going there, like if you go to the stations, the metro stations, and the trains, you'll see that there is it's almost like everywhere Zoho is there. There are ads in the train, there are ads all over the stations. I went to multiple places within that entire Bay Area, and you can see whether in Fremont or you go to Sacramento area, or you stay in San Francisco, like you see that very, very clearly. Even in Oakland, all those areas, like you'll see Zoho there. And Zoho knows how to actually promote themselves and create a product which is world class. That Zoho is taking on Microsoft, people are discussing now. But this has been going on for last 10 years now. Like, it's not a new thing. They have been in their own work, they have been taking on Microsoft and Google for last 10 years. Like, so it's not a new phenomenon. And like they have done a fantastic job of their own quality. And that is why I believe that all those people who think that the Indian companies cannot actually compete with the global majors out there are completely mistaken. Indian companies can do a fantastic job. Mahindra, I told you once, Mahindra has been doing this kind of thing for a long time within here, the US. Their tractors are actually being picked up more, by like some of the farmers in south of US, which was the hub of John Deere. Like people, they made inroads into areas where nobody would ever use anything other than John Deere. But now they actually go for Mahindra tractors. So Indian companies, if they have the capacity and the will and the grit and the vision, they can actually do a fantastic global competitive work. And Zoho and Mahindra, like they have actually demonstrated that. And I always say that there are two models of IT services or IT products or IT work. One is the H1B model, and the other one is the Zoho model. The H1B model is the poorer model, because what they do is they bring the people from India to the US, and then they actually create the products here, and they sell to the public or companies within the US, all the customers within US. Zoho creates the products in India, actually even better. They create the products in rural areas in India, in Tamil Nadu, and then they sell it to the US customers. So all the ranting and all the pushback that the MAGA group is doing to H1B is going to hurt them, because H1Bs, when they come here, they earn the money here and they spend the money here. Right? Now, if the H1Bs are not coming here, the work still has to be done. US or any other country cannot do that work, because no other country has a scale that India has. India's strength is not that India has the greatest skilled talent. India's greatest strength is that they have the largest talent pool. It gives the scale. That scale is very necessary. You can't have one team, half a team sitting in Turkey, half the team sitting in Malaysia, half the team sitting in Singapore, half in US and half in UK. It doesn't work like that. Like, you can't have things like that. So if you're not doing the work here in the US, like with all the H1Bs, then you have to follow the Zoho model, which is do the entire work outside, and that would be India. So Zoho has actually a great, has done some great work. And best thing, something that I've been writing on for quite a few years now, is that Their servers are based in India. They have created their own kind of a cloud, which they use for their products. Like, I'll give you a very striking example of how silly and how short-sighted the Indian companies are. So Amazon and Reliance are competitors. Amazon actually tried to take over the big bazaar, right? Like, they tried to do that. Somehow Reliance actually escaped that. But do you know their entire geo data is actually hosted on AWS? I mean, which smart ass actually thought about this? Like, I have no idea. Like, you are the day the US decides to actually shut down the Indian companies, it's the most effective way to do that. And just don't offer them any hosting. And I'm not saying this, out of the blue. Russia was thrown out of SWIFT. There are many companies, who are like right wing. Gap.com is one, who were thrown out of all these clouds a few years back. When the Biden government was there. So these things have happened, and they can happen in future as well. So I think Zoho that way is much more far-sighted, much more thinking, and have got the basics right. And that is why it makes so much of sense for the Indian government to actually side with them and boost them. Here, somebody was actually making this comment, and like, I don't think at least directionally, like, it is correct. But that comment was that if India firewalls its like borders, like, against all the foreign IT companies, like Microsoft and like Google especially, Zoho can actually shoot up to a $1 trillion of market cap. And I won't be surprised like, if that happens. Look at what happened to like Alibaba and the rest of the companies there. So what I would say is, I think it is a very, very smart move. Other companies, other products in other areas, especially AI, need to come out. In fact, like, I feel that even Perplexity, Arvind Srinivasan, he's also actually like trying to align himself with India more as far as Comet and Perplexity is concerned than any other country. I mean, I know he's in the US and all those things, but I think he wants to actually align himself with the Indian, like, at least the needs. So I think we'll see a lot more of such companies who are India-based, who have done fantastic work, not the kind of work that the IT services companies are doing, which is more of cost arbitrage and even a reputation arbitrage. So I think like it's a great strength building. That one tweet or one expose showed so many different angles.
Yeah, that was a wonderful session, Deshi, and we will see you again next week. Thank you for coming again.
Sure.
Jai Hind and Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram. Thank you so much.